Hello, welcome to Pod Maverick After Dark. This is Kirk Henderson and Josh Bowe. We are hanging out here. It's about 10:30 on Tuesday, December 3rd. The Dallas Mavericks just came from behind to defeat the Memphis Grizzlies 121-116 in one of the most bizarre basketball performances. It was like basketball-like substance that we may ever see. Particularly coming out on the winning side of things. Josh, how you doing?
I'm doing good. That was a highly competitive and highly grotesque game of basketball that I'm really, I took a minute to get on. I know you were ready before me to hop on and record, and I took a minute, and I'm honestly I'm walking from my living room, which is where I watched the game, back to my little hovel here in our master bedroom closet. That's where I've set up, because that's
good use of space.
Very good use of space. So I know everyone likes to roast my backgrounds, my ever-changing backgrounds for the last 8 months or whatever, but it's working. And I'm walking back here, and I swear, I'm just I don't know what to talk. I don't know what to talk about. I don't know. I don't know precisely how the Mavericks won this game, because you look at everything, and they should have lost. They shot 68% on free throws, which is not a good team number. They missed 14, and now we'll talk about the other number of free throws in a minute, why they won. But they missed 14 free throws. They shot 68% from the free throw line, and they had 25 turnovers. Most turnovers they've had in a game since 2019. Shout out to the Mavericks broadcast for that fun fact.
Incredible statistic.
Memphis is it's one thing if the Mavericks were playing like Washington or Portland or New Orleans, just one of or Detroit, and they have 25 turnovers in front of them. Memphis won 6 in a row. They're 14-8. They're playing well. They're a good team. To beat a good team when you have 25 turnovers, my brain is, I'm the meme of the guy on the bus looking out the window smiling and then looking out the windows dejected. That's my brain right now, because I can't determine if this is great Mavericks effort to win, or did Memphis just embarrassingly melt down in the fourth quarter and give that game away. Probably a little column A, a little column B, but it's making me hard. I know it's our job to talk about this game, but it's making me hard. I don't know. It's making it hard to talk about it for me, because I don't know. It's tough to say.
So I'm looking for something, and I'm going to, what my brain immediately went to, and this is a very old reference, and I apologize for it, but it's the, in Shawshank Redemption, when Morgan Freeman is his character Red is describing what Andy Dufresne went through, and he said, Andy Dufresne, who crawled through a river of shit and came out clean on the other side. That's what I think of that Dallas Mavericks win, because there was so much wrong with that game, and they won anyways. And I know how they did it. I mean, how they did it is pretty obvious. They were the force. The refs were. If I was a Memphis fan, I would be losing my mind. I mean, the free throw discrepancy here alone.
It's unreal.
So the Memphis Grizzlies shot 14 free throws. The Mavericks shot 44.
Have you ever? I don't know if I've ever seen that in a Mavericks game before.
No,
and I don't think I've ever seen it that bad.
It's a little. It's worse than I think it's not as that bad, because number one, there was four free throws taken at the end. So and when the game was kind of out of touch, and the Mavericks got the Grizzlies into bonus early, which I thought in the fourth quarter. Kyrie reached immediately on Ja, and I was like, oh God, it's just going to be one of those where the Mavericks make it close, but they fouled too much. And instead it was the other way around. The Grizzlies, who are a top 5 defensive rating and offensive rating team, just couldn't get out of their own way in terms of the fouling. And they did foul. Don't get me wrong. The Mavericks were the aggressor. And that's why they ended up winning this game. It was incredible. That said, I still think a 30 free throw differential is one where if I'm the Grizzlies coach, I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I'm wondering if he's going to get fined tonight. He knows that going into his post game presser, I would be surprised.
As a Mavericks fan, let me be clear. It's kind of where I go with this. Yeah, so we're kind of walk me through what happened in the first half and really through part of the third quarter, because I was coaching a basketball practice, following along with my phone as best as I could.
So the first half was really good. The first half was pretty impressive, honestly. They got up to a 10-point lead. It dwindled towards the end of the second quarter, but process-wise, I thought the Mavericks played a really good first half. Luka looked good again, and he looked good all night for the most part, except for a stretch in the third quarter where the team just kind of collectively lost its composure after some very questionable and I would say bad calls that went against them. But the first half, was very much a picture of like this vision of the Mavericks. You've got Luka looking healthy. You've got everyone involved. The ball is moving around. You're not totally reliant on Luka because of the roster's talent finally has so many different guys that can do things. And that was evident throughout the first half. Memphis bizarrely guarded with the pick and roll a lot in the first half, where their big it wasn't a blitz or a trap, like a hard one, but they were guarding at the level of the screen, and Lively and Gafford were absolutely killing them. And the Mavericks playmakers were doing a tremendous job getting those guys the ball. Lively in particular, he hasn't had a big scoring game in a while. Like, I don't, think since he's come back, like he's, been hovering around like 9, 11, 12 points. He hasn't really, I don't think, he hasn't been 20. So this was a season high for him. He had 17, a lot of that damage in the first half. And again, it was a lot of pick and roll, getting back to the old Mavericks, not the old Mavericks, but last season's Mavericks, where the lobs were much more plentiful, because Memphis just, I'll just straight up say it, I thought a pretty foolish defensive strategy to guard that high up on the screen when you know that the Mavericks love to get the ball to their rim runners, and they've got two of the best finishers in the NBA. I mean, Lively and Gafford combined to shoot 11 of 14 from the floor.
How did Luka only have 4 assists though? What's happening with that?
I mean, a lot of his assists, it was some of it was secondary assists. Like, I bet you Luka had a lot of hockey assists in this game. And again, like, because he's not dominating the ball as much as he used to. I know he still had 37 points and he shot the ball 22 times, but I think in the first half, like, you look at the assist totals, it's not like they were a low assist game. They had 24 assists on 39 unmade baskets. That's pretty good. That's a decent number for them. So it wasn't that, like, they were passing the ball well. It was just Luka wasn't necessarily getting the direct, assist. It was more setting things up, keeping the ball in motion, and then someone else was getting the assist because the ball was moving so well. And, Memphis was leaving a lot of space in the paint in the first half. So then in the third quarter, which you said, you didn't really get to watch as much, it fell apart because Memphis came out at halftime and they're like, okay, we're not doing that anymore. They played a little bit more drop, kind of invoking a little bit of what the Celtics did in the finals, where they're just not allowing the lob and they're going to invite the scorers to score one-on-one.
To me, that's the better strategy against the Mavericks.
It has to be. It boggles my mind when teams don't just do that from opening tip. Now, to Luka's credit, he was great in those scoring situations. The thing was, Kyrie was bad, and that's why they kind of dug themselves in a hole, because Kyrie was bad. Their offense got junked up because they weren't getting the easy stuff that they were getting in the first half. I thought Memphis guarded really well, because, you think about the Mavericks, and when their offense gets junked up, their first thing is like, kid's not adjusting, and they're not running any imaginative offense, and they're just trying to spam the same thing, and the other teams figured it out. I actually thought the Mavericks tried different stuff in the third quarter. Like, they went more to those dribble handoffs that we tell them to do more often, but Memphis was locked in on that stuff, man. Like, they were guarding really well. And then the Mavericks offense got worse. I thought that compromised their defense, and it kind of like had this chicken and egg, like, cyclical thing where the offense kept having such poor possessions, which was poorly setting up the defense, because Memphis kept getting opportunities to run, and even if they weren't scoring in transition, they were scoring against an unset defense. And then the Mavericks defense unable to, like, they bled into each other. The Mavericks defense wasn't setting up the Mavericks offense, and the offense wasn't setting up the defense. And I think that's kind of what spiraled. They got outscored by 16 points in the third quarter. There were some awful foul calls that went against the Mavericks. I'm not a refs guy, but I just, personally, I didn't think they got a good whistle in the third.
A lot of late whistles,
Yeah.
and I made a comment to the effect of Ben Taylor was waiting to see if shots went in before calling fouls, and I had a few people respond to me to say that he did the exact same thing against the Thunder when the Thunder played Houston, and it's just look, NBA officiating is what it is, but it drives me crazy that we know these guys' names.
No, I know it was bad, and then so my thing is I'm not a refs guy, but I don't want to I'll acknowledge that there were some poor calls or at least calls that went against the Mavericks that you can question. And then the Mavericks didn't handle it well. Luka got a T. The body the whole team body language just got really bad in the third quarter, really dejected. They got in their heads a little bit, I think, with the refs. It's not fair that I'm trying not to kill the team because it's only human nature to get frustrated when you're in that situation.
They got to pull,
but
they never really pulled out of it.
Right.
The Grizzlies started shooting their own dick off, and that was quite amazing to watch in real time.
Yeah, that's kind of how they got back into the fourth. It's kind of one of those things where it's like, okay, you're getting hosed on some calls. It's okay to get a little frustrated, but like you said, they didn't pull out of it. They just it just got them in this funk that they never recovered from in the third quarter. And then it sounds like you were able to watch more of the fourth. And yeah, man, I mean, the Mavericks did a great job, like you said, being the aggressor, but Memphis threw that game away.
They had granted, the Grizzlies are a good team. They have a lot of good players, but I felt like we're getting a lot of that dude Huff was in the game a whole lot. Jay Huff was playing fourth quarter minutes. I guess you're looking at this game, Desmond Bane was in foul trouble. Jaren Jackson Jr. just exists in foul trouble.
Yeah, I mean they got into the bonus. The Mavericks were in the bonus with 7:20 left in the fourth,
God, and then there were 52 fouls called during this game.
Yeah, 52 fouls and what 20, 30, 35, 34 turnovers.
Yeah. No, 45 turnovers.
45. Excuse me.
There were 44 turnovers. They changed one after the game, but it was 44 turnovers. So
that's unreal.
Okay.
Yeah, Marcus Smart had that awful foul 90 feet from the basket when they were in the bonus. But credit to the Mavericks, the
Mavericks enter the quarter down. The Mavericks enter, what did they?
They're down 13, I think. Yeah.
They're down 13 and they're entering the fourth. And because at the end of the quarter, they did something stupid and gave fouls or free throws to Memphis. And so the game hung. Or the Mavericks worked the game back to within. It takes them half the quarter to they're down by 9 with 6 minutes left, and then they get the lead down to 6 at 5:23. The lead stays at 5 to 6 points it goes back up to 8 with 3:34. John Morant makes a crazy shot in Luka's face after Luka had sunk a couple of free throws. So the lead's back up to 8 with 3:34. Luka comes right back down and drills a three-pointer. Really big, his last really great make of the game. Then Lively, Jaren Jackson Jr. basically ejects himself from the game. I guess it was his fifth foul, but he argues a call saying the ball was off Lively. He was correct. Problem is the ball was off Lively because he was clearly hooking Lively. And it's how are you doing this? Lively, who had at that point missed a gajillion free throws, at least it felt like it, calmly sinks 2 free throws. So the Mavericks go from being down 8 to down 3 with 2 minutes and 30 seconds left. Luka gets fouled. They're within 1. The next play, Desmond Bane misses a pull-up. Kyrie pushes the ball after the free throw makes, and Spencer just drills an open corner 3. That's the Mavericks take the lead there, and they don't give it back because after Jaren Jackson Jr. misses kind of a weak layup attempt where, Lively could have fouled him. It is what it is. And Spencer drills another 3 on the push. Desmond Bane makes a 2-point shot after that where he 2-hand shoves whoever was boxing him out. It was so funny watching it live because the miss was who shot the ball? Jaren Jackson Jr. wildly missed a 3-pointer, and Desmond Bane, I think, just shoves whoever's in front of him and lays it back in. only for Kyrie to try to make something happen. We'll talk about Kyrie in the second half of the show. Misses a tough pull up, but gets his own offensive rebound because Lively's battling the ball. Luka finds PJ Washington for an absolutely awesome dagger shot. Just a great shot where somebody in the chat said, "Oh, it's good to see Luka deferring." And what Luka did there was make the right play. Because Washington was open. And Luka did have it. Luka always has an open shot if you're Luka. And then after that, it became a free throw shooting contest, and the Mavericks won the game. And here's the real kicker: that beyond winning the game, they needed to win by a certain number of points. I'm pretty sure they're in the NBA Cup now. I don't want to
they're in,
but they needed to win by a certain number of points, and they did it. Crazy.
Yeah. It's a great win, and honestly, like my biggest takeaway from this game, is like this might be the regular season that everyone has been asking for. Like they just won in Portland, and Portland shot 58% from 3, and they won that game. They just won tonight against Memphis, who's a top 5 team in the West with 25 turnovers. Like they are winning despite some really heavy factors going against them. Like you don't win a lot of games when a team shoots 58% from 3. You don't win a lot of games. Your opponent shoots 58% from 3. You don't win a lot of games when you turn the ball over 25 times. Like
ever.
They are pulling game. Like the mix of the way they have pulled some games out of their ass, combining with some of the dominance that we've seen, like that dominant win against New York. They had, a couple other pretty big blowouts against New Orleans and against Chicago, which I know are worse teams, but that's how you win. Like when we talk about the regular season mattering because seeding matters, because the history of the league is you need to be a top 3 seed to win a title. Like that's how you get to 55 wins, like you win games you're not supposed to win, right? Like that's how you win a lot of games. And they're doing that now. And then they started 5-7, they're 14-8. Like they are in position to have the regular season that they set for themselves in the preseason. They said they wanted to do better in the regular season. And, fans have wanted it. The teams wanted it. The players wanted it. The orgs wanted it. Like everyone's been talking about it because it's been their one bugaboo in the Luka era is they just can't get their shit together from the start of a season to the end. And it appeared, I don't want to jinx it because, we've still got what, 3/4 of a season to go. I think, or whatever, about 3/4 of a season to go because we're 21 games in. It's just this is how you have a great regular season: is you beat up on teams you're supposed to beat up on, and then occasionally you pull a rabbit out of a hat every now and then. That's how it works. So that's kind of my big takeaway lately, and especially from this game. It's just now I'm rambling a little bit.
No.
You remember like. We watched the prime of Dirk. Like I'm not talking like 2012 and 20. Like we're talking, 2003, 2002, 2005, 2004 Dirk. Like to me that the thing about the Dirk era in his prime and when they were winning 55 games like in their sleep, it always felt like in every game, like they would just win games and you'd be like, huh? Like they didn't like they would kick some teams' asses. And then they would just like, there'd be these games where they just felt so inevitable and they just won. And you're like, how do they win? Like, I don't know how they won, but I kind of figured I knew they were going to like win. And that was, a testament to Dirk's greatness. And I'm starting to feel this with this team in particular, especially when you take the post trade deadline from last season, and now this group carrying over, like they're just finding ways to do it. And it's a testament to the roster building, but like, they're starting to get that kind of knack in my brain where I'm just like, because I was watching that fourth quarter, like you could see it coming. You could see it coming that they were gonna take the lead in that game at some point and have a chance to win it. And I'm just starting to categorize them in my brain now. Like in the fourth quarter, I'm just gonna be like, if it's a close, like, which is so funny because they were so bad in the clutch to start the season, but they're just starting to turn that around.
And I think there's frankly an argument to be made that they were unlucky in the clutch. I'm glad you mentioned that because I was listening to the Dunker Spot today. If you don't listen to the Dunker Spot, it is a in-depth basketball analysis podcast. Like it is 2 Nekias Duncan and Steve Jones are two smart people talking smartly about basketball. And if you want to be educated, it is a good place to start. And Steve Jones was going through and he's like, he said something, I'm paraphrasing here, but he said something to the effect of, the Mavericks have 4 losses by 8 points, and then they lost to Miami where they lost their minds. Like, what in that? Like, what is everybody mad about? And then when you like, and you think about it that way, and you pull back, I mean, the Mavericks have now won 9 of 10 after, like, if you throw out those 4 losses in a row by 8 points, they've then won 9 out of 10, including a disastrous loss to Miami. You and I beat around the bush around this a little bit because we're just kind of negative Nancy's to a certain respect. But even we've been saying, like, guys, like, look at the schedule. Look at the schedule. The Mavericks could, in theory, not lose a game in December because I think they're better. Like, the Memphis Grizzlies were the best team that they're playing the rest of the month. Pretty sure that's right. And I'm not even looking at the schedule. Okay, we're a little further along than I intended us to be because with Josh and I like to keep these to 30, 35 minutes, but that's okay. I want to take just a second to talk to you guys about our sponsor. And I need to actually put this in the show. This is where you can tell I'm not the best at live reads. But one thing I am getting good at as I'm getting older is I'm thinking more and more about my health, which is, it's just something all of us need to do. And one of our main sponsor right now is a company called Body Spec, and they're a company that does what's called a DEXA scan. It's a full body composition scan to help you understand where you are in regards to your health. And whether you're an athlete, a parent with a desk job like Josh and I, or just somebody thinking about getting back into shape, starting with the DEXA scan is a great way to learn more about where you are. If you want to help us, if you like Josh and I know we appreciate the folks who do the super chats, but one way you can help us while also helping yourselves is go to the show notes and click the Body Spec link. For those of you here on the live stream, it is actually in the description of the podcast. It's down there at the bottom. If you click on that, and then if you actually sign up for a body scan, I want you to use the code PODMAVS45 at checkout. That's in all caps, PODMAVS45 at checkout to get $15 off a single scan. It's a great idea for a gift, or it's just a great idea to, kind of kick off your New Year's resolution a little bit early. Body Specs competitors charge as much as $150 for a scan like this. This is a really affordable thing, guys. I just go take a look at it. I'm really considered. Go to bodyspec.com, link in the show notes, and use the code PODMAVS45 at checkout. Josh and I look forward to sharing both of our experiences a little more in detail. Josh is getting his done on Friday, so that's pretty exciting. All right, we are going to insert some show note or some ads, and then we will be right back. Okay, really appreciate everybody hanging out with some of the business. Those of you who are listening to the show, please consider subscribing on YouTube, or if you're listening on audio only, please consider subscribing in your audio podcast of choice. We are going to be doing a Mavs Party tonight for everybody who is curious, where we will have a secondary show where you guys can come and join and give your takes, and we can talk a little bit about basketball together and celebrate what was a fun win. So get your takes ready. I'll be posting a link towards the end of the show here, and you can join. All right, Josh, what else should we talk about? Because I think, like, in recapping the game, there's a lot we hit and then a lot we missed.
Oh, man, I feel like the Mavericks defense was pretty good in this game, and I feel like it doesn't look great from start to finish because the offense not only had so many bad shots and bad possessions, like the turnovers, I want to look at the numbers. Kirk, let me see. I'm looking it up right now because I want to know what their half court defense did.
Okay.
The Memphis offense scored 86.4 points per 100 half court plays, which basically like an 86.4 offensive rating in the half court, which is bad, which is very, very bad. So the Mavericks half court defense was actually like pretty good. The problem was they turned the ball over a bunch and gave Memphis transition, semi-transition stuff. So actually, like Ja had an awful game until like the third quarter. Like I thought, and Ja is exactly the type of player that this Mavericks brought. Like if you look at this Mavericks roster, the defensively, you're like, okay, well, who guards Ja? Especially like in the, with Clay, Luka, and Kyrie in your starting lineup, like who's going to guard him? Like Clay did okay in a couple of matchups with him in the first half. He didn't do great in the third quarter, but that's going to happen. But like they did pretty good. And yeah, Ja finished with 31 points on 50% shooting, but I think he had 4 points at halftime.
Well, you know my favorite Ja Morant stat, don't you?
Oh, I do.
He has beaten Luka Doncic in head-to-head matchups one time. Luka is 7-1 against him, which the fact that they've only played 8 times in 6 years is fucking ridiculous.
As divisional opponents that played
because Ja came in the year after Luka, so they've only faced each other 8 times out of a possible of rough. Let's just say 24 matchups because you're supposed to have 4 matchups with division opponents. Sometimes it's 3. So, but let's just say 8 times out of 22 games have they played each other. It's ridiculous.
I know. I know you love that. I mean, and even if you take Ja out of it, the Mavericks,
they own the Grizzlies' ass.
Yeah, the Luka era, they have dominated the Grizzlies. They just win every game. They blow them out.
Luka gets up for it. Frankly.
Yeah, he does. I don't know why. It's interesting.
Oh, I do. And this is not my take. I'm stealing it from somebody, and I'm probably not the only person who's had this thought. Somebody was chatting with me today on Twitter, and I can't go find the links right now because my mentions are a tire fire. But pointed out that Luka really likes beating the shit out of whoever the NBA's next big thing is. Like he takes that stuff. He seems, if you go by results, he seems to take that stuff fairly accurately. Captain Crunchy. Great name. Luka has owned Ja, Zion, Green, and Wemby. So I just and you're forgetting our man up in Minnesota too. So there's the next like Luka is very much like I am the guy. Maybe I'm not everybody's poster child, but I am the captain now. That's what Luka Doncic says.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm trying to think of like what's
I mean, I want to talk. There's
you go because I kind of said my spiel. I've talked a lot on this podcast. You talk.
No, we both have talked. This is great. PJ Washington.
Yeah.
Good God. PJ Washington. High 18 points, 8 rebounds, 7 assists to go along with 3 stocks. Team high plus minus guy. Just incredible performance. Incredible performance.
Is he the second most important player on the team right now?
He is right now, man. And we thought it was Lively, and I want to circle back to Lively, who is just like we got to get that man. He's a little bit of a goofball sometimes. He's driving me a little crazy. We need him to settle down. But PJ it becoming, I have a friend, J. Kyle Mann, who works for The Ringer, who is a big University of Kentucky guy, and he just does not believe in PJ. And I messaged, and because PJ honestly doesn't have the track record. He just doesn't. He's never really been the guy. And what we have here is this is the closest thing the Mavericks have had to a Sean Marion since Sean Marion. And he's just incredible. I think we as, and because I believe it, not just because we're Mavs based people, I think that the PJ has to be an all defensive player team if he keeps this up. Like he has to be content. Like he's been incredible, just incredible.
Yeah, there's not enough you can say. He's the defensive linchpin right now, the way that he's able to both be almost like a perimeter lockdown. Maybe not perimeter lockdown guy is pretty strong, but just being able to he's so versatile. He is their Swiss Army knife. Mm-hmm. He is a guy that because he was guarding Ja for a lot of possessions tonight and did pretty well. Like having someone that can do that and then being like a help side rim protector. And defensive playmaker at the rim, whether it's blocking shots or stripping guys going up to get, that are trying to go get into the paint or score in the paint.
Right.
Like that's the key to the key to the NBA right now is, and it's been this way. Like the biggest misconception about the Warriors when they kind of engineered, they had that death lineup, and everyone was like, we got to go small. Like it's small ball. Like it's not about small ball. It's like, it's about being small without actually being small, because people like those Warriors prime, Draymond at center at 6'7" is not tall, but they played 3 other guys that were like 6'7", like Harrison Barnes, Andre Iguodala, and Klay Thompson. And even like Steph, their smallest guy is like a 6'3", like it isn't like the shortest guard. He's not like Chris Paul short. Mm-hmm. Like that team was pretty big and rangy for the skill they were putting out there. And I feel like a lot of teams were like, we just got to go small and some teams went too small. I remember some of the Carlisle era Mavericks, like they would use those 3-guard lineups with JJ Barea and Devin Harris. And you're like, okay, I get it. Small ball. That's too small. PJ is like turning himself into the prototypical small ball forward, where it's just like he plays like a rim protecting center on defense at times, but he's making through like, and then he plays like a slashing small forward on the other end. Like he is the badass athletic forward that me and you have talked about how many offseason podcasts during the Luka era where we're talking about what they need. Like every year since they drafted Luka, where like they need a 6'7" athletic badass that's not an offensive liability. That's PJ Washington.
My favorite is there was a gentleman, and I'm not killing him. Look, we all have bad takes. I didn't want Spencer Dinwiddie on the take or on the team. We'll talk about that in a second. There's a guy earlier in the season, his name was Seeker, who used to be in the chat all the time, saying how the Mavericks needed to get rid of PJ, move on from him, trade package him while he can. He has not shown up since the Mavericks have since PJ has been on the run. So show yourself. Anyway, we're all allowed bad takes. It is what it is.
Yeah. How about that 3-point percentage? He shot 38% in
I'm afraid to talk about it because
he's got 13 assists in the last 2 games.
It's really something, man. And
his
I'm
stock
just
numbers
really happy for him.
I know his stock numbers are outrageous. And again, it's I feel like a proud mama hen or whatever because I wanted, I don't shoot my shot with off-season moves a lot. This. I hate talking the trade rumor game, but like I was looking at him 2 summers ago, and when like his restricted free agency was like dragging out, I was like, why doesn't anyone go get this guy? Like there was something there to him. It was not a good environment in Charlotte, clearly. And yeah, he is paying off every which way. And that trade, like you think about the package they gave up for him, which was basically like Grant Williams and a first. And you're just like, wow, like it's just, he's having, he's starting to look more like the player I thought he would, because remember last season, he was so great defensively, but his offense was just like non-existent. And he was too talented an offensive player to be that bad on offense. And I like the ways that they're getting him involved so that he's not reliant on the 3-ball. Now he's made 8 threes in the last 2 games.
Right.
8 of his 11 field goals in the last 2 games have been threes. But before that, when he was shooting, low percentage, he was still scoring because they were engineering looks for him in the paint because he's a skilled player that can do some different things with his size. So, did it again tonight a little bit. He only made 2 2-pointers, but man, yeah, I can't say enough good things about PJ, and he played another great game tonight.
I also want to throw a shout out because here's the thing: like I kind of lost my mind in Mavs Slack the other day.
Uh-oh.
The short answer is like anybody that gets like, I believe Luka Doncic is the best player in the NBA. I believe when you consider when someone wants to be the best player in the NBA, I think you have to hold them to a high standard. And so I lost my mind on a couple of our writers, just basically who don't enjoy Luka criticism. I also think it's important to note that when Luka balls out in a particular area where he gets shit on all the time, it's incredibly important to talk about that. And he was excellent in the defense that I saw him play tonight. He had 4 steals and a block, and he used his anticipation and his understanding of basketball, that genius, brilliant basketball mind, to his advantage. That's what I want. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he was great. I didn't see too many, bad plays defensively from him. He had 12 rebounds, which he hasn't actually been rebounding the ball well this season, which I think goes back to he hasn't been healthy for most of the season. Like, man, you want to, you want to take a gauge is Luka healthy? Last 2 games, he's got 7 steals. Like you said, he's got 7 steals in the last 2 games. He's 9 of 19 from 3, which is nearly 50%. Like, if that doesn't tell, like 7 steals and 19 made 3-pointers in 2 games, if that doesn't tell you his legs are feeling right and he's feeling better, like that's it. I don't know what else to I don't know what else to tell you. Like that, like he's like, I feel like the Adam Sandler and Happy Gilmore, like the dodgeball scene, like, like now you guys are in big trouble because the NBA somehow allowed the Mavericks to amass what was their record when he came back against Portland. The Mavericks were 12-8. Like, you let the Mavericks, with Luka being hurt and not playing to his standard, win 12 of their first 20 games, and now he's back and looking like the MVP Luka. Like, like,
I mean, not to get too far out in front
other
of it.
teams, you effed up. You had your chance to kill the Mavericks, and you did not. And now, they are going to go on a run. They might be going on a bigger run than they're going on now.
Well, and then there's and obviously Luka's offense pretty incredible. We already talked about it a little bit the first half of the show. Spencer Dinwiddie, it's worth saying again. I talked a lot about how I didn't want him on the team, and through 22 games, I am the one who is wrong. I have no problem saying that. It's one of the things that I don't understand. Where like a lot of people just, maybe it's because I've been married for forever, but it's like just learning to say I was wrong. Let's move along is one of the best things you can do when having sports opinions. So it's it is.
They got to do a study on why he can only shoot 3-pointers wearing a Mavericks uniform.
Like, I mean,
that's got to be studied for science.
It's got to be the gravity of everything else. I'm not really going to talk about Clay tonight, but gravity and how these Mavericks play and the way the offense is structured, I think we just need folks to understand that this stuff is, the Mavericks are not at their peak. They have a lot they can do better.
Yeah, Najee Marshall didn't even play.
That's the point, right? That's the point here, and that's where when it took me 15 games to get pissy with Jason Kidd, because I think over the long run, he has a very good laid out plan of like, this is what's supposed to happen when. So and they're on pace, man. Yeah. I like your dodgeball description, or your Happy Gilmore description.
Yeah.
Now you're all in big trouble. Like,
yeah, that's how it feels. And the one thing I don't want to talk, they won a game against a good team with 25 turnovers, and Clay and Kyrie combining to shoot 4 of 19 from the field
with a gajillion turnovers.
Yeah, it's wild. This is a crazy win. Although Memphis should be ashamed that they didn't win this game. But the thing about, like, I don't want to harp on Clay. He was bad, and Kyrie was bad too. Like, just to get it out there, he was very. Kyrie looks tired. Like, Kyrie looks like the weight of his workload while Luka was out is starting to catch up to him. And I wonder if now he needs, like, do they need to give him a little siesta to get his legs back and let Luka carry the load for like 4 or 5 days? Cause he looks a little worn out. But the thing about this roster that we're going to talk about this every game. And I'm sorry, people that are watching or listening, you're going to get tired of us talking about this, but like, optionality of this roster is higher than it's ever been in the Luka era. Mm-hmm. Like, they can withstand Clay and Kyrie playing poorly because they finally have a team of guys that aren't just standstill spot up shooters. Like, say what you will about.
I do feel like he was trying to get Clay up to that 20 minutes. Cause like, I'm watching Clay out there on the court and it's just like, all right, buddy doesn't have it. He doesn't have it.
But he only he didn't force him. He didn't play 30 minutes and shoot.
Well, he said before the game he had a 20-minute cap. And
he did?
Him,
okay.
Yes, and he played him the full 20 minutes. So that that really grinds my gears to one extent or another.
Just trying to compliment him on a coaching decision.
Before we go, we do got to chuckle at the just Maxi Bubby.
Dude. Have you ever seen an NBA player that's supposed to be a shooter that passes the ball faster? Like, I mean, he's not even like, he's literally not looking at the rim. You know what I mean?
If he were a comic book, like if it were, Into the Spider-Verse or whatnot, where they occasionally did that thing where you'd like see characters' thought bubbles, Maxi Kleber's thought bubble would be fuck, just on repeat. It's so funny.
I've never seen a guy that's supposed to be a shooter pass.
You know what the worst part is, man?
Fast. What?
And the reason I'm not killing him, the reason I can't kill him.
Why?
He's gonna have moments.
Oh yeah.
And then I'm gonna look like an ass clown if I've crushed him too hard.
And again, he only played 10 minutes, so like, why?
The negative 17 in 10 minutes is remarkable.
I know the counters like just don't play him those 10 minutes, but like, you're gonna play. Like, to me, it's not about like that. That is not even like, I don't want to have that conversation because that's just not realistic. To me, it's more like, is Kid at least not relying on him too much if he doesn't have it? And I don't think, like 10 minutes is a drop in the bucket of an NBA game, all things considered. I know every possession matters, and they very much well could have lost this game. And if they lost this game, you look at those 10 minutes that they got destroyed, and you want to point to something. But at least he's not leaving him in there for 20 minutes, or like, he seems to have a quick hook with him this season, at least he has the option. Like, if Lively and Gafford are healthy, makes it way easier. But yeah, that was not a good performance from Maxey, to say.
It is what it is. It is what it is. Okay, so I think we're basically done. Is there anything else you think we ought to hit on?
Oh, that's good. That's good. You get to your live show because I feel like hopefully people are excited.
I'm trying, and again, guys, I'm posting the link. Join it this way. We'll take a quick break. These are fun. I want people to come share their happy thoughts, because the angry ones are much like when we lose, it's a little bit therapeutic to get your takes off. But again, I like kind of talk to myself for like 4 solid minutes the other night before, and then all of a sudden we had 8 people or 6 or 7, and it's fun. So it's, you guys who are hanging out in here, please, join the show now. We're going to be right back. We're going to talk a little sports. The Mavericks play the Wizards on Thursday. The Wizards have lost 15 straight games. They participated in what is my favorite November. It's no win November for the and did you know that since Kyle Kuzma talked his shit about not wanting to leave the Wizards that was in February of last year, the Wizards have won 8 games in the last 10 months. So kiss my ass, Kyle Kuzma. Anyway. Thanks so much, Josh. You're the best. We're going to be right back. You guys consider hanging out. We got Jason Gallagher and Brian already ready to kick this show off, and we will be right back. So everyone hang tight and go Mavs. Hello, Mavs fans. I'm Kirk Henderson, editor-in-chief over at MavsMoneyball.com. You are joining Pod Mavericks post-game podcast called Mavs Party, where we celebrate our wins. I'm posting a Twitter link in the YouTube show. If any of you use Twitter, go give me a retweet. I want to get lots of people in here and get their takes off. We got 3 folks waiting. If you're unfamiliar with the show, I have posted the StreamYard link into the show notes. I'm going to go pin that so you can join it at any point. We got 3 folks already waiting. I'm going to go with my buddy Jason first. Then we're going to bring up somebody who I do not recognize. And if you're new to the show, I'm going to let you jump the line because I really want new members to join the show first. So Jason, what's going on, man? How you doing?
Hey, buddy.
Yeah? What? Tell me. What are you thinking? Are you just having a great time?
Smile says it all. I don't know. It was a ugly win. I love winning ugly wins.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's the best.
Winning ugly and frustrate. Like, the Mavericks have been on so many of the ones where you're like, fuck that. It feels pretty good to be on the other end.
That's what I have Lang Whitaker in my mentions. On both Blue Sky and Twitter being like the free throw was ridiculous. And I'm like, brother, until like, I don't care. I lived through 2006 and until 20 years have passed, I'm still going to be pissed off about it. And I'm cold in my heart. And I just don't care. I'm sorry. It happens.
That's right.
Absorb it. Move on. We had to do it. Anyways, pretty great. I wanted to come on here to expound upon a tweet, and I like to come out here to expound on tweets.
Is it your 2022 tweet where you overlay the speech from Andor on top of Santa Claus? Because I hadn't seen that before, and it really upset me. No, go ahead. I'm teasing.
I mean, you were the prime audience for that. I don't know how you missed that, but I a couple weeks ago I'd sort of talked about I just sort of listed all the players on the roster that I think were meaningful. Talked about the depth, and I included Spencer, and I kind of got like multiple people were like, get him out of here. And I think the point,
including me,
you didn't say anything. You may have privately texted me something, but
I tweeted a lot, and I was on the podcast being like, eject this man directly into the sun before
I mean, I still think we're gonna feel a lot of feelings when he's like when we have an entirely healthy roster and he's in. That's inevitably going to happen, because I think the Mavericks coaches have a curse where they have to play a player that makes no sense down the stretch. It's just a curse. It happened with Carlisle and Charlie Villanueva. It just happens. But so like, I don't know, but for what I think he should be used, like him as this sort of like playmaker who understands the offense when other guys don't have it going or are hurt. It makes a lot of like, I can't think of a better player to play that role. And that's what I keep coming back to with both him and, don't get mad at me, Maxey. And I'm coming back to the Maxey point because I'm like, is there a better option third center?
Solid measure. He was apparently at the game tonight.
Well,
so.
He's still. But you know what I mean? Where it's like, in a perfect world, we're not using him.
Okay.
Like, you know what and that's how I feel a little bit about Spencer. In a perfect world, they're not being used really meaningfully. But it's the NBA, it's 82 seasons, and it's not a perfect world. So you have to like have these backup options. And frankly, that's what I kind of view Spencer as. Now, my only worry is that kid is not going to view him as that. But I have always viewed Spencer as like hey, Luka's out for a while, or Kyrie's out, like we got to go with this guy, or Najee, or whomever. Same thing with Maxey. Is I'm just sort of like, I can't see a world where Maxey's playing meaningful minutes on a fully healthy Mavs roster.
I mean, what's meaningful minutes? Like if he's playing 10 minutes a game, a lot of the time he does fine.
Yeah, that's what I mean. He's definitely not playing more than that on a fully healthy Mavs roster.
Tonight he played 10 minutes and was a like he nearly caused a world war. Like being a -17 in 10 minutes is so amazing.
Wild. It's wild, but I do kind of come back to like, I think his length can be helpful.
He's a real help defender. He is.
Yeah, and I really think that like, so this is kind of like just a statement on the fact that obviously the top end of the Mavs roster very good, the middle very good, but I would even say this: the middle to like middle end of the bench tier is like really, really solid. And I think that that's the group that weirdly gets me excited, because guys can get injured and you just plug them in. And it's not always great, but it's not like, I mean, 2 years ago, Dwight Powell was starting at center. It's the fourth center option now. That rules. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. It's. I'm very pleased with all of this. It's nice to watch meaningful games.
I mean, you've known me for a long time. How often am I backing up Maxey Kleber on a game where he was -17? I'm not really. I'm just saying it's like, it is just like when things are not great, it's like not the worst option to have. I can't. If you can find me a better third center option, please do.
All right.
But I don't know if one exists in the NBA.
We'll see. I mean, this is goofy. This is the Mavericks have had, and you know, they're your podcast network. Because Old Man and the Three, Steve Jones. Have you heard? Did you hear their show today?
I did.
So it's like he gave a pretty good lecture where he's just like, look at the losses. What are you guys complaining about? He's talking.
I just wrote it down just for myself. They're 10-5 in the last 15 games, and those 5 losses are by an average of 2 points, basically.
Yeah.
Like, he's right. I mean, they're right there, and I think most of the time, like I think it's just a goofy. The Luka stuff was just goofy. I was encouraged. I mean, excellent Luka game. That airball 3. It's like just the things about him. What makes him so fun to watch is that the great moments are so loud.
Yeah.
The bad moments are also so loud. Like to go from hitting a step back clutch 3 and then the next possession airballing it. Like
I think that got tipped, but yes, your point is on.
It's the Luka experience where it's just like the smart, easy play is to act like you're going to do that and then just drive or do anything else. And he just is just too, like the showman itch is too much. It's like he's too addicted to that.
I love it.
I love it too, buddy.
Well, onward to the NBA Cup at some point. I don't really understand how any of that works.
I have no idea how that works, and I know you want to get to some new folks, and shout out the new folks because it's an awesome show. But
our guy Tyler at Mavs Moneyball just posted in all caps, "Get ready to learn NBA Cup."
I have texted people that I know work within the NBA that I have been like, I should not have to do homework to understand.
No, the way they like.
This is terrible. This is a terrible idea. And like,
it's all Bill Simmons' fault too, because he insisted upon this fucking thing.
But I know that the point differential thing works in soccer, but scoring is pretty rare in soccer and makes a lot of sense and is easy to track.
I mean, the Thunder did beat the Jazz like they stole something tonight, which was very funny.
Fine, but like have like a thing on the side that tells me what's going on or something. That graphic that they shared today, that was like the Western Conference implications for who's going to make the cup. I was like,
it read like a foreign policy paper. Get that out of here.
And the worst part about it was that they were trying to save paper space. And so they weren't speaking in normal sentences. They were like Dow plus
like
one. And I was like, okay,
I used to work right next to the Pentagon, and this guy who lived with me had to help produce this paper called the Quadrennial Defense Review. And it's like, and he showed it to me at one point, and it looked like that, where it's just like, this is not what we want as basketball fans.
It's not.
Hey, but you're the man for kicking us off. I appreciate you hanging around.
Cheers, Mavs fans. Cheers, Kirk. Subscribe, like. That's it.
Be good, man. Talk soon.
Bye-bye.
Jason left. All right, coming up next, we got multiple people. And remember, if you want to join the show, please click the link that's pinned in the YouTube comments. It is a StreamYard link, works just like Zoom or any other thing you've joined for work, video chat, that sort of thing. I don't want to butcher my man's name here, so you're going to tell me, because otherwise I'm going to say Crocky, and that just can't be right.
That's how they call me here in Australia after 10 years. But
fucking tastic. Let's go. How you doing, man? Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I don't really have any takes. I'm just, a follower. I follow you guys. This is the first show that I go to whenever the game is over because I really like what you do. I just want to let you know that you are in my, top one podcast. And I stopped really looking at the national things because they're really, really bad. So yeah, that's when I learned. I'm a soccer guy. I come from, I'm Italian, so I come from, soccer background, playing soccer. I don't know much about basketball, so I appreciate when you, explain a few things. It's a great way for me to learn. But then, Luka entered my life, Luka Doncic, and since then I've been following his career. I've been following the Mavs. This year, I even decided to watch the games. And it was not going as expected. I was super excited, super pumped after the final last year, and it wasn't going that well. But it is what it is. Now it's it's good. Now it's good. So yeah, nothing. Just nice meeting you, and you're doing great. And thank you for what you do, guys.
Hey, that's fantastic. Thank you so much for joining, and you're always welcome back. If you ever have questions and stuff about this, that's right. Our chat is awfully fun. Basketball is a very, compared to soccer, football, as we should correctly call it. It's a little easier to master in terms of understanding what should happen when. Because there's 6 fewer guys on the field. But the actual mastery from the player point of view is incredibly, incredibly difficult, which is why it's so much fun to watch, I think, because it's, you can figure it out, you can pick it up. Like I coach 8-year-olds and explaining to them, and a lot of these 8-year-olds actually start out playing football first. And explaining to them the different movements. Like I love my favorite thing that little kids do who play soccer and then come play basketball is they go to the corner. Because in soccer, you go to the corner, you cross the kick, and then you hope that you get it open, something across them. And I have to explain to them, I'm like, no, you attack the goal and then pass out. It's the opposite. But a lot of the movement and the usage of space is really fun to look at in comparison. It's great stuff. But thank you so much for joining.
Go Mavs.
Go Mavs. Have a good night, man. Okay, coming up next is Brian. Hey, Brian, what's going on, man?
Unmuting now. Can I be heard?
Hey, I'm good.
There we go. Okay. Yeah, I'm sorry. I was just laughing at a tweet for like 3 minutes straight. I legit can't read it up here.
Okay, fair enough.
But it's about the Okay, all right. Hey man, what a hilarious, terrible win.
Yes.
Wasn't it just a terrible good time?
Like the way my fan brain works is I'm like, we're going to pay for that at some point this season.
No. We already paid for that.
Okay, great take.
Steve literally read it out. We lost by 1, 2, 3 points and then lost whatever the hell that was to Miami. We have paid for our sins already. That we were owed this game. We were owed this game. Ben Taylor, too, had to come back and pay us back because he owed us. So, yeah.
Ben Taylor looked like the season 1 bad guy with the eye from our animated show that just finished. Shit, what's wrong with me? The League of Legends show.
Oh, Silco?
Yeah. Ben Tayller looked like Silco. Sorry, that's a really niche comment. Sorry. I'm a 40-year-old man talking about cartoons. Whatever.
Look, whatever you want to call Arcade. That show was amazing, and it should not have ended in 2 seasons. I don't care what nobody say. But look, man, we were owed, and we came back when the whistle swung so hard. Like after the first quarter, they just started calling fouls. The first quarter was reffed immaculately. That's how the whole game should have been reffed, in my opinion. The second quarter, the whistles came in. I was like, all right, they on some bull, but at least it's kind of going both ways. Third quarter, it was all Memphis. I shit you not. I cut that game off at like the 8-minute mark in the third, and I came back with about 9 minutes left in the fourth because I saw a bunch of tweets saying, oh, the whistle swung. The whistle swung back our way. And I said, huh? I went back and I watched Jaren Jackson and Marcus Smart commit some of the dumbest fouls I think I've
Incredible
ever seen
stuff.
in my life. Marcus Smart was so on our team. He may as well have colored his jersey in blue.
It's my favorite.
Dude, he was so bad to close the game, and Taylor Jenkins left him out there. So before you go complaining about free throws and all that, yeah, like we the Lakers or whatever, which, by the way, ain't it nice to have the other team complaining about how many free throws we're shooting?
It's incredible.
Doesn't that feel cool? But yeah, man, I tweeted this out early, and I put it in the chat. PJ Washington, and I think he came back 8 games ago, but I filtered it to his last 9 just because the numbers look incredible.
Yep.
In his last 9 games, he's at 17 points a game, 10 rebounds, 3.5 assists, 2.5 stocks on 50, 54, 81 shooting. And at the end of the game, the last real important defensive play of the game, he ended up on Ja Morant in an ISO in the corner, and Ja didn't get to take 2 steps. He locked him up the entire clutch last 4 minutes or so. But that play specifically, PJ was sublime, dude. Like he and Lively tonight. Lively outplayed Triple J head to head, and Triple J has been like an all NBA level player. Like I get that wimp out my face, man. He was just taking shots at dudes on both ends with the stupid little kick out on PJ on the jump shot, and then just whacking on who was that he whacked upside the head earlier in the game. I think it was Luka, maybe. Like just not even playing basketball at a certain point. But it's whatever though. We came back, we won. All the rest of them, get them up out here. 3 seed. We looking for that 2 seed next. We right back where we were supposed to be. NBA cut me. You'll see me tweeting about which player looked like they stayed out in Vegas too long when the cup game started.
Which if Luka's ever red in the face, guys, I have news for you.
Hey,
What he was
you
doing.
know what tweet is coming. You know
Right.
what tweet is coming. I'm gonna say he was at that craps table till noon.
You think Luka's a gambler? That'd be interesting.
No,
I bet he is.
I think Luka would absolutely just stand around and drink while everybody else is gambling.
I think he would find like a really weird video game type slot machine, like something that allowed something's like one of the really odd
yeah.
games, something
No,
like that.
you know what I think he'd do? I think he and Jaden Hardy would be sitting right next to each other at the penny slots. And they would just do that over and over and over.
Well, hey man, thanks so much for coming up once again.
Of course, man. Thanks for having me up after this win. Go Mavs.
Yes, sir. All right, guys, I have to do some business real quick before I bring up one of my favorite screen names that I've seen on here. So, guys, you guys have heard me talk on both shows repeatedly about our new podcast partner, company called Body Spec. If you have not gotten yourself a DEXA scan yet, now is the time to do so. What Body Spec is they provide what's called a DEXA scan. It's a full body scan, composition scan for your body to help you understand sort of what is going on with you. Whether you're an athlete, a parent with a desk job, or a person thinking about getting back in shape, a DEXA scan is a great way to get started. If you click the show notes or the podcast description, it's down there at the bottom. It's got a hyperlink directly for us here at the Pod Mavericks podcast. You click on that, you sign up for a DEXA scan and use the code PODMAVS45. That's all caps, PODMAVS45 at checkout to get $15 off a single scan. It's a great gift. It's a great thing to start the new year with. And for a scan like this, competitors charge as much as $150. So you'll be getting a real usable set of information at a great price. Again, visit thebodyspec.com link in the show notes and use the code PODMAVS45 at checkout. Thanks so much for letting me do that. I'm going to insert some ads here for our pod as well, and then I will be right back for my last two guests. All right. Thanks so much for letting me do some business, guys. Again, if you want to join the show, click in the comments. There's a pinned one from me that is a StreamYard link. You can join that. Up next, we're bringing up the incredibly named Rafe LaFriendship. Rafe, what's happening?
What is up, Kirk? First time, long time.
That's what I'm talking about.
I'm so thrilled to be on, man. How are you?
I'm pleased. I am not as tired as I would expect, which is great. And I'm just kind of trucking along. So tell me what you think.
Well, okay. Here's what I can't get out of my head this season. Zach Lowe of ESPN, formerly of ESPN fame, and has a great podcast.
Yes.
Once said this about the Mavericks. Okay. The ability to beat anyone is not the same as the ability to beat everyone. If you think about it, really, since Luka joined the team, you roll out Luka and Dorian Finney-Smith and THJ. Okay. We had a puncher's chance to beat anybody on any given night because Luka's that incredible, right? We have turned the corner to where we're now the team that can beat everyone. Okay. We're not just the team punching up. You can see the development of this team being able to figure it out in game and get gritty wins against awesome teams, such as the Memphis Grizzlies, who are awesome, such as anybody on the, pick your poison here on in these last 9 games. We beat Denver in Denver.
Huge
we
win.
beat OKC, no Luka in OKC, second night of back-to-back. Okay. Like, that didn't happen last season. At least it didn't happen before the trade deadline, right? Really, since adding PJ and Gafford at the trade deadline last year, we've taken this big step up, obviously. Najee and Grimes, and thank God for Spencer Dinwiddie.
Which is such an odd sentence, but it's accurate.
It's crazy, dude. He was incredible tonight.
Yeah.
Like, you keep saying like you were like, like I wanted him off his team like 3 days ago or however many days ago. I was right with you. I'm like, yeah, what the fuck, Spencer?
Yes, it was basically like 3 games ago where I'm like, could we? Is there a way we can get him off the team?
Dude, exactly. Now he looks like, I'm I'm almost like pissed off that he joined the Lakers last season. It's like we could have used Spencer Dinwiddie in the playoffs last year.
Mm,
you know. Anyway, my point is we are developing into a version of the Luka Doncic Mavericks that we've always wanted. This is happening. It's happening now,
good take.
and I'm here for it, man. Keep up the good work.
Hey, thanks so much for joining. And I do hope you consider coming back. All right.
Definitely, absolutely, count on it.
All right. And then last but not least, because we don't have anybody else waiting, one of my favorite regular joiners to the show, Karam. What's up, my friend?
Hello, how are you?
I am great. Tell me what's going on in your world. What are you thinking tonight?
I'm impressed. I mean, we were at one point under 500, and now we're 5 games above 500.
That's right.
I mean, we've turned it out. I mean, we've turned it around. Excuse me, considering all the injuries that we've had. I mean, it's been pretty impressive. I mean, we haven't had Luka for like 7 games, and
Yes.
I mean we've kept afloat, and we can't say that in Mavs past. I mean, Mavs past, when Luka was out, we would be 7-game losing streak, 8-game losing streak, and then forcing him to come back because we're in a losing streak, right? So it's been impressive. The more and more I see this team playing, the more I've come to realize that we are a pretty deep team. We are a pretty deep team. And I think that's important because when you look at the Boston Celtics, one of the biggest reasons why we lost was that team was such a deep team. They were playing even without Kristaps Porzingis in a way that looked like they didn't even need him. Like he was just what do you call it? Was that word? A luxury. It was just a luxury to have him, right? And I feel like that's what the Mavs are right now. Luka's a luxury. I mean, we went 8 of 9 without him. I mean,
pretty amazing. What was it? It was 5-1, maybe 5-1 sounds right. Yeah.
I mean, PJ Washington, he needs to be an part of the odd defense conversation. He's been nothing but stunning. And in this impressive win streak, this 8 of 9, I wrote it down. He's averaging almost 49% from 3-point range.
Pretty amazing.
48.6%.
Would have never, I never, my sort of standard was, I was like, could he please get to 36?
I mean,
and he's been amazing.
He's been amazing. And it's like what Josh said. Eventually, what he saw in him would happen. I mean, he wasn't always this bad of a shooter. It's just surprising that it lasted this long. And I think we're seeing the trajectory of what I saw of him in college and his first couple years in Charlotte. I've always been high on PJ, so
he's been amazing.
I'm just happy. I mean, I have a lot of hope that if we keep playing this way, we can see. I can see us going back to the finals.
I don't, playoffs is about matchups right now, but I currently have yet to see a team in the Western Conference where I'm like, this is a team that poses a specific series of matchup problems. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I agree. I really do agree. I do have one concern.
Sure.
We do need a backup 4, and I don't think Kleba is that. And I think maybe that's something Mavs will look into trade deadline and trying to upgrade that position because, I mean, outside of PJ, who's going to be the backup 4? Najee? He's more of a 3 in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we'll see what they do there, if anything. I sort of think they won't do anything just because they have a loyalty to the Maxi, and Maxi may come around. The only other thought would be also because they just have, I don't want to say they have limited assets because of where they are. They actually have a pretty good setup, but you just got to be careful with the luxury tax stuff. If they go over the second apron, it makes things difficult. And so bringing on additional money is a challenge for them, I think.
True. And one last thing. What is it about Dallas that makes Dinwiddie unbelievable?
I mean, I honestly think it's the Luka effect where his.
But he was playing like this even without Luka.
Yes, but the role, like he is capable of playing well on his own for periods of time. But and he, frankly, I mean, he's playing. I like how he's playing now more than in his first stint, because I feel like in his first stint he was so willing to shoot the ball, it drove me crazy. Whereas now his assists are like he's might be
facilitating.
In total assists he might be leading the team.
You know what? I can check right now. I think you're right.
So it's pretty. It's just fascinating. That element of his game is something. Yeah, is something incredible. So
I mean, he was someone that a player of his caliber was something that we sorely missed in the finals because
everybody's a little freaked out, and he's not the scared type.
No, Dante, I mean, whatever he was showing in the regular season was not carrying over into the playoffs. Right. It wasn't the same. And I feel like with Dinwiddie, what you see in the regular season, that tenacity, that style, is not going to go away. And we saw that when he was playing with Brunson his first year. Like, he wasn't afraid. And we need more people to not be like a pumpkin, like Cleaver. Shoot the fucking ball. You get it? Shoot it. Did you see Luka getting mad at him the previous game?
Yes.
I'm like, come on, just shoot the fucking ball. Please.
I did see that.
Don't be a pumpkin.
Yes. I love it.
Anyways, you have a great night. I know it's late over there for you, so take care. Thank you again for having me.
Yep. I appreciate you coming up as always. Hope to see you soon.
Yes, sir. Take care.
Great game, great night, great fans, great podcast. Everybody, appreciate your time. Thanks so much for hanging out. We'll be back Thursday night, preferably after the Mavericks demolish the Wizards. Everyone have a great continuation of the week, and I will see you around. Go Mavs.